Hello and welcome to the Caim Circle podcast. Jessa Francis here. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I am hopping on today to share something pretty vulnerable. I think this is going to resonate with so many of you. I know it will. If you have ever felt like you're not good enough, if you've ever struggled with imposter syndrome or have found yourself stuck in negative self-talk, then this episode is for you. We're going to be diving deep into what inner child work actually is, what reparenting looks like in practice, and how it can transform the way you see yourself. The Caim Circle is a space where we explore self-discovery, holistic healing, and personal growth through storytelling and shared experience. I want to share a journey that completely has changed my life and how inner child work and reparenting has helped me break through my self-doubt and step into confidence. So before we begin, I would like to invite you to take a big, deep inhale and exhale. One more time, inhale. Soften your jaw, exhale. Soften your shoulders. Here you are seen, you are heard, and you are loved. Welcome to my sanctuary. Thank you for being here. So to start, I think it would be smart to just define inner child work. The quote, inner child is a psychological concept, right? It's referring to the part of us that holds our earliest memories, emotions, and experiences. It's a version of ourselves that learned about the world. What was safe? What was scary? What was love? What did love and belonging feel like? Right? So if you grew up in an environment where your needs, whether they were emotional, physical, or mental, were not fully met, your inner child is probably still carrying those wounds and they're showing up in your adult life. Some of those signs that your inner child may be wounded, right? Struggling with self-worth, seeking external validation, feeling that fear of abandonment, rejection, right? Being constantly in the need to control everything, perfectionism, overachieving, feeling like you're not good enough, unworthy of love, success, or happiness. Like so much of this is all of us, right? And inner child work is that when we actually go back and we be with those parts of ourselves. And that is what I teach in my memoir writing, but on another level. Like it's that next level of self-awareness. It's being able to do this work. And you don't have to do memoir. You can do journaling prompts. There's all kinds of different ways to do this. But then you can't just do the inner child work. You have to do the reparenting. And so to define reparenting, we're looking at it as it's the process of giving yourself what you didn't receive as a child, right? If you could go back and reparent those versions of yourself, giving yourself love, validation, emotional safety, support, it's about becoming your own source of care, guidance, protection, and love. This isn't about blaming your caregivers. Let me say that very strongly. This is not about going back and pointing fingers and saying you messed me up and playing victim. No. This, I love my parents. And I know my parents did the best that they could with what they had. And a lot of you probably feel the same way. You love your mother, you love your father. That doesn't mean that they didn't make mistakes. We're human. Just like you're making mistakes, they made them too. So this isn't This is not about blaming our caregivers, but rather recognizing the gaps in our upbringing and learning about how to fill them for ourselves as adults. And so I've done a lot of inner child work and reparenting. I've written my memoirs, I've gone back, I have sat with all the different younger versions of myself. Maybe I'm over exaggerating, probably not all of them yet, right? This is a lifelong journey, but I have sat with many versions of myself in many different ages, giving myself in several different experiences love, right? But what I have found recently is that it doesn't stop with just the inner child work. What I have found recently is that if I was really going to truly rid myself of this horrible, crushing self-doubt and low confidence, that yes, the inner child work is the first place to start. But if you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I've already done my inner child work, what do I do next? Because it's still not working. I'm still self-sabotaging. I want to offer you this. What part of you are you holding a grudge against? So this is about to get deep, folks, so a little bit of a trigger warning. But I want you to think it's easy to forgive and to love on your child self, even your teenage self, even maybe your young adult self. It's easy because they didn't know any better. They were just doing the best that they could. But then we get to grow up and we become adults and we have children or we have people that we love in our life and we're still making horrible mistakes. Maybe we know better and we're still not doing better. And we don't want to look at that part of ourselves. We don't want to look at the part of ourselves that hurt someone that we love. So inner child work can also be inner teenage work, inner young adult work, and inner 35-year-old work, 36-year-old work, 40-year-old work. The list goes on. My inner yesterday work. And I'm saying all of this because I just did this for myself. I was sabotaging myself again and I'm feeling all this self-doubt and I didn't trust my decisions. And why? Oh my goodness, I've done all this work. Why can I still not break through? And I have this horrible low self-esteem. What is going on right now? And I realized that I had to go back and be with the part of myself that I was holding a grudge against. The part of myself that I couldn't seem to forgive. There was ages in my life where I was still just hating that woman. Why did she do that? Why would she do that? I did not like that woman. How could she have done that? How could she have possibly hurt her kids? Made such an awful decision. Several strings of awful decisions. That was the one. That was the one I had to go be with. That was the one I had to sit with and offer forgiveness and love. It wasn't just about going back to 6-year-old me and seeing that, she had been taught a certain thing, was seeing certain things that she shouldn't have, and was confused, right? This is being with a part of myself that was only 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago. Still making these horrible decisions. Even if she's trying so hard, she's still messing up. Right? And I had to go back and be with that version of myself. I had to reparent and love and fill in the gaps for that version of myself. So there's just so many times that you're sitting in self-doubt or you have all of that negative self-talk, and you have to trace back to subconscious beliefs formed in childhood. Like if you were a child and you got criticized a lot, and because you may be growing up to have an even louder inner critic. If you had to be the good kid to receive love, you might struggle with setting boundaries today. Unhealed childhood wounds can create limiting beliefs like, I have to be perfect to be loved. I can't take up space. If I say no, people will leave me. So I found inner child work through lots of different books, therapy, different conversations, mostly through my memoir. And if you don't want to write memoir, there's journaling, there's writing letters to your younger self, there's answering prompts like, what did I need to hear as a child that I never did, right? And then there's visualization, there's closing your eyes, imagining yourself at those ages. What does your inner child need? What would they need to hear, and how can you say that to them? Right? Speak to your inner child in your thoughts. Hey, I see you, I hear you, you're safe with me. Do creative things with them. Draw with them, dance with them. Creative expression is so amazing. Spending time in nature can help you reconnect with all these different parts of yourself. And then you have to practice the self-compassion instead of the self-criticism. You have to set boundaries that honor your emotional needs. You have to re-establish the trust. Create a safe inner dialogue that reassures them instead of shames them. Allows them to rest, play, and express their emotions without guilt is a big one, right? So, once I started working with my inner child, I noticed a shift in my self-talk. I began to question old beliefs and rewrite the narrative. Instead of I'm not good enough, I started saying I'm capable and I deserve to take up space. I learned that confidence isn't about faking it until you make it. It's about self-trust. It's about knowing that you were worthy even when you weren't perfect. And I had to learn how to set boundaries. I had to learn how to feel more empowered. I had to show up for myself differently. But if you have already started that work and you're still feeling stuck, my question is, what part of you are you still holding a grudge against? Healing your inner child isn't about fixing yourself. And I want to say that also really quick. It's about remembering that you were never broken. It's about stepping into self-love and trust, one very small step at a time. I will leave a couple journaling prompts in the show notes. And if this episode resonated with you at all, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please send a message, share an experience, tag me on social media. And I think that's it for today, my friends. I just wanted to be able to kind of honestly just tell you a little bit about what it means to work with me, because this work isn't easy, but it's necessary. And I am still obviously doing this work. I think it's very obvious that I'm still doing this work. It is going to be a lifelong practice. I'm still on my path, right? But I'm continuing to show up and I'm continuing to do this work. And let me tell you, it is getting better and better and easier and faster. The fact that I was able to, over one night, sit with 36-year-old me and move through it and wake up the next day with so much more confidence than I've ever felt in my life came from the fact that I had done a couple years of work with my inner child. I had done all of the inner child work to be able to get to a point that I could forgive that part of myself that I never thought I could. And maybe it's not perfect. I'm probably still going to have to forgive her a few more times. It's going to take time. But I'm deserving of that time. I'm deserving of that love and that compassion. And so are you. Thank you so much for being here again. I am sending you all so much love. There are so many ways to step into space with me through the Caim Circle membership, or there's still one spot for a one-on-one mentorship with me. Reach out if you are listening to this in real time. That spot still may be there. But thank you again, and I am so grateful to be on this journey, to be living this life, and honored to have you as part of it with me. See you next week.